Hi everyone, welcome to the inaugural show of One on One, brought to you in association with Harness Racing New Zealand. We find ourselves in Methven at the front door of one Richard Terence May. Yes, the latest into the 3000 win club. He did it at Addington Raceway, of course, aboard She's an Artist. We're about to sit down with him over the next half hour, find out what makes the wee man with the gold cap tick, and find out what he's thinking about the future after a stellar career in harness racing. Well, Rick, welcome to the 3000 Win Club. First of all, congratulations, mate. That's must be an enormous thrill for you.
Oh, definitely, Greg. You know, that was my mission really, and we got there.
Yeah. Look, we're going to touch on several facets to your life over the next half hour or so, but it was special for a number of reasons, but in particular having as many as the family who could be there at Addington on Sunday. Your dad, Terry, your wife Judy, two of your greatest supporters. Your sister was there. I think one of the kids was there, one of the boys was there too. Yeah.
Yeah, Philip.
Yeah. That made it more special, didn't it?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It was such a nice day too, and you know, it was quite a good crowd. I was quite amazed at all the people that come out, you know, hear the speeches, and then after the race, all the drivers clapping in the barn. That was a bit emotional, actually.
Yeah, so when you came off the track and you drove, because as we know, Hopes, well, some people won't know, but are all the way down the L, if you like.
Yeah.
I could hear the ovation as you were going through it. The people were genuinely rapt for you, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it was like I said. It was couldn't get over it. Really, it was. You know, I didn't think it was that big a thing, to be fair, but obviously it was.
She's an Artist for Greg and Nina Hope, and appropriately you did it with them. And George Hill, you've had good success for too, as well. Blue Chip Rock springs to mind. Oh, we probably turned that off. I'm picking that's gone off a few times in the last few days.
Yeah. Here's a what, I'll tell you, yesterday the battery went flat. By about afternoon tea time, I had no battery left, and it usually lasts for 2 days.
Have you fielded calls from all over Australasia on picking and maybe further afield?
Yeah, no, I've had a lot from everywhere really, and especially Texas, and then the emails as well, but there's a heap of Texas. But yeah, I've had a hell of a lot of phone calls too, yeah.
You've driven for so many trainers, but for Greg and Nina Hope in the last decade, you've driven that many winners for them. To do it on one of their horses must have been special.
Yeah, no, it was really nice. I think everyone wanted to get to that 3,000 like Alan Beck. I mean, you know, he's a great mate of mine too, you know. I think he was hoping it would be that as well. But no, probably drove the most winners for Greg and Nina, to be fair. I'm not 100% sure, but, you know, the horse was obviously a really good chance, and they gave me the drive, which was good.
And in recent times, you got your win number 1,000 at Addington Raceway as well. And I know that figure blew you away because you had no idea where you were at.
No, I was, yeah. No, it was pretty fantastic when they never really had a lot of meetings early on in the career. Like, it was nothing like it is today.
Addington has been so good to you, but when I think of Ricky May, I think of all the travel you've done over the years, and I think of the pleasure you seem to take from a maiden at Westport to a New Zealand free-for-all at Addington. You enjoy all of them, don't you?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think everyone enjoys every win, to be fair, but no, it's good to go to Westport and win a race, you know. I think, you know, some of them people only win one race or win a maiden race or something, so they get just as big a thrill as someone winning a New Zealand Cup, probably.
It's still a buzz for you, isn't it, this driving caper? It's still something you really enjoy.
Yeah, I do. You know, I'll probably have my moments in the last, you know, after what happened to me, so I guess it's definitely got better in the last few months, yeah.
Ricky, you've been plying your trade for the last 5 decades. Let's go back to the 70s and the mid-70s when you started, and the mare Ruling River, who I think in the first season you drove about 5 winners, and she won 4 races for you. Yeah. What were your earliest memories of the harness horse and hanging out with your dad at the stables, and were you always going to become a driver?
No, probably not actually. Yeah, I mean, I drove and I helped out and everything, but I wasn't real set on it, to be fair. grandfather was training then, and we worked quite a few horses. So my cousin Paul May, which is Clive's son, come up every school holidays, and he was real keen,
Yeah.
and he was a good driver too. Like he was real probably better than me, but he got asthma really bad, and so sort of pulled out of it and become a mechanic. But I mean, he was probably pushed me along a bit too, you know.
Yeah.
So we drove a lot, two of us together when Dad and Granddad were there, you know.
So Grandad Clary,
Yeah, Clary,
who
yeah.
trained an Auckland Cup winner,
Yeah, and Law Nurse.
Loyal Nurse, in the 40s.
Yeah, well, he sort of probably got us started, to be fair, the whole family.
Yeah.
And it sort of went on from there. But no, I'd say I'd probably, when I left school, I sort of, I had to make up my mind what I was going to do. And Dad sort of pushed me, you either do it or you don't, and give it 100%. So I decided to get into it a bit. But
And he stepped aside, driving-wise, pretty much to let you have that opportunity, didn't he?
yeah, well, he was still going for a wee bit
Yeah.
till he was 65 and he retired. Everyone else did, so he said,
Yeah.
they
He
all
might
had
as well.
to, he might as well as well.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where I started driving all the stable horses.
Yeah. He's been a pretty handy horseman, your father, an understated horseman. Having a look at his record, he's close to about 350 training wins. You don't do that without being a pretty good stockman.
No. We had actually a lot of nice horses probably a wee bit before my time, but they trained a lot of cup horses, trotters and pacers. So,
Yeah.
there was quite a few horses there, and I guess Palestine was the one that was going. Yeah, I drove him at home, but I might have drove him in one trial. That was all I ever drove him, but that was about that stage when I was just starting off.
Yeah, some really nice mares, the likes of Frangelico, some Legacy.
Yeah.
There were some handy horses around here, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, I mean, some Legacy probably wasn't a real star, but she won the DB Fillies, it was called them days, which...
it was a big thing, wasn't it?
It was big, and for the owners as well, the Hollands, they were great supporters of us. They had Adius Adieu, who was a cup horse as well, but he broke down just before the cup. I'll never forget that race because it was a mile at Eddington, which is a bad start, and I drew one in the second row, and she started in the Oaks, and she finished sixth, but I couldn't steer her. I feel like she should have finished closer, so I did give her a wee bit of a chance in that race, and sure enough, she did win it.
Come out and won, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty rapt because there's one statement I'll never forget is the owner, Jimmy Holland, he was such a nice guy. And I remember we were having a drink after, and he said, "Oh, geez, it's a good steak, $10,000, And we said, "No, it's 100." He didn't even realise.
Had no idea.
No.
Yeah. Well, that's many of those stories you've had over the years, because of course your Group 1 record in the 70s here, and I think, did you say to me you've won 8 or 9 in Australia, you think, somewhere?
Yeah, well, I counted 8, but
Yep.
I thought I'd won 9, but I just can't think what the other one was, but which I'm pretty happy about.
Ricky, you started in a wonderful era, as we now know, because Morris, I think, won the junior drivers title 4 times, then Tony won it a couple of times, joint winners with Jim Curtin, another one of your great mates. When you think about the 3 that are in the 3000 club all starting at the same time, quite incredible.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of drives when I was a junior, really. If you got a drive a month, you were doing all right.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Rolling River, I probably wouldn't have got hardly any. It was pretty tough going in the early years. That's why I didn't win much till I was sort of out of my junior drivers, I guess.
Yeah.
I sort of got better. I wouldn't have had a lot of drives as a junior.
When did the farming thing, your other love, your other passion, you've got racing, you've got your family, and you've got this farming thing, which I'm not going to suggest where it fits in the sphere of things, for fear of getting you in trouble, but it's a pretty big part of your life. So when did the love of that kick in?
Oh, I've always liked it. We sort of, this place probably wasn't quite big enough, but we always had sheep and everything, but I sort of, when I was probably about 2021 or something, I started, put a paddock of barley in, and it sort of went on from there,
Right.
And I sort of share farmed a place, and I did all the work on it. I bought my own tractor and that, so it kind of went on from there, really, and no, it's probably been good too to do something else, other than driving and training your whole life,
Have you always done your own drives? And it's more predominant in the thoroughbred code than it is in the standard bred, but you've always just booked your own drives. I suppose Judy's been on the phone quite a bit. Back in the day when you didn't have
Yeah,
cell
I know,
phones.
cell phones, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mainly have really. I mean, the odd time if I travel, actually, Phil Barber gives me a ring and he gets me 2 or 3 extra drives. But
Right.
yeah, I've been, mostly it's all, I've never chased it too much.
Your real lift in your career came about in the late 80s and you're teaming up with a legend of these parts and Brian Saunders, and it was great to see him there at Addington to celebrate that. I hadn't seen him at Addington for a very long time.
No, I haven't either.
But he turned up for that, which
Yeah.
was a feather in your cap that he had the respect to come and do that for you. But gee, you guys, that's a run of wonderful horses, and the one that stands out, obviously your first ever cup with Inky Lord. He's a master trainer.
Yeah, no, he had a hell of a run really. I won the Greymouth Cup and of Gavin's mare, the mother of Inky Lord.
Yes,
and,
yep.
Um,
Miss Bromack.
Miss Bromack, yeah.
That's who he was out of.
Yeah,
Yep.
was too.
But back to Inky Lord and back to the build up to the Cup. His form leading into it was very good, but the race didn't pan out well for him, did it?
No, well, he missed away in the races leading up to the Cup. He was in the Cup trial. He missed away badly, actually. Geez, we tried everything, and then, lucky enough, he made a good beginning in the Cup, which definitely had a chance if he went away. And then he probably got a good run, a good economical run, but at the sort of the 550 or so, things turned pretty sour, right? But he was travelling super good, but when he got checked, it was sort of quite a bad check too. Most horses wouldn't even bother getting going, but man, he did something from the quarter peg, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, phenomenal performance.
Sharvard, wider out luxury liner, Dylan Dean, Kylie's Hero in front, 100 to go. Here come the Chargers, down the outside, Inky Lord is putting in a tremendous run. Inky Lord on the outside and Dylan Dean and Bold Sharvard and Kylie's Hero. What a finish. Inky Lord, a 4-year-old.
I'd like to say before that is my first Group 1 win was Highwood in the Rowe Cup. And I did drive quite a lot for Warren Stapleton, who had a really nice team as well. And
So Highwood was owned or part owned by Lawrence, your great mate Lawrence Hanrahan's father.
that's dead right.
Yeah.
It was too. And probably lucky enough to get the driver. He's a very unsound horse, but he was a very, very good trotter if he was sound. And he proved that when he went to the Rowe Cup, which was a big thing for them to put me on him, really. I think Patrick drove him quite a bit as well.
Right.
So I was a bit lucky, to get him for a first Group 1.
Yeah. You also drove Cedar Fella to win a Dominion for Warren Stapleton. So you're right, you had a great association with him.
Yeah, Warren gave me a lot of good drives actually. Like he was really good on unsound horses. He seemed to get a lot of them, but when he got a good one, they were pretty good.
Pacers, trotters, do you have a favourite?
I actually love driving a good trotter.
Yeah.
But man, they're not easy, some of them to drive, but geez, the good ones are good, You don't get...
To be fair, you've driven one of the best that we've seen in the last 20 years in Mombay. That must have just been an awesome feeling when he was at his peak. And let's face it, he was a champion.
Yeah, he was a very, very good horse. He was right through when he went 56 as a 2-year-old. At the Jewels, that said it all really, but no, he was he was so fluent. He was the most fluent trotter I've ever driven, I reckon. He was just so fluent, and if he did make a mistake or go rough or something, like it was probably, it wasn't his fault altogether, I don't think. It was just him.
Yeah.
He just, sometimes he wasn't really good out of the mobile. He was only sort of fear, actually, to be fair. He was never, if you pushed him, he'd always, go a wee bit rough. So I just let him do his own thing, and it worked out pretty good most times.
Yeah. 3,200 metre race, you've got a blooming good record in those, because the 7 Cups, okay, they're a separate entity, but 3 Dominions, a Rowe Cup, I think about a half a dozen Easter Cups. I suppose it's a patience thing as much as anything, and you've been known as a patient driver for a fair part of your career.
Fair part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of luck in 2-mile races, and you had to be patient, I suppose, but, you still got to have a good horse, I suppose, at the end of the day, but... like I did have a good run in the Easter Cup, like you said, and some of them weren't favourites or anything. So it was just yeah, they were just sit and sprint horses. Well, sit and sprint over 2 mile, put it that way.
Ricky, just on your driving style, growing up and watching, through the 80s and particularly the 90s, a lot of your drives were back in the field, flash down the outside type horses. When did that change and why did that change?
Yeah, well, at the start when I was driving for Brian, most of his horses had speeds, so that's probably why it sort of got like that, and probably got a lot of drives because of that. But we had to move with the times, probably halfway through your career, I suppose. To me it was probably the push out rule a fair bit. You had a chance to get around, you couldn't get pushed out, so
yeah,
which is a lot more common to go around now, but you still got to have a reasonable horse to go around. But I think racing has got a wee bit more aggressive than the old days. There's no doubt about that. But
is that some of the drivers that you're up against? A younger brigade too, the Dexter Dunns and the Blair Oranges that are prepared to, or they're front of the field drivers in many respects, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they are. I suppose that's why they win so many races. But you've got to have the horse to do it as well. You've got to go up, both ends. It's not that easy. At least you've got a reasonable horse. But I guess the breeding and everything's changed. There's a lot more speed involved. But I don't know. All depends on the horse and field a wee bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said in your speech at your 3,000 wins just after you'd won it that you've just about driven for every trainer. And there's a lot of truth in that, isn't there? There's not many stables that you haven't had a steer for.
No, actually, we're talking about at the trials today. I can't think of anyone, actually.
Right.
There will be someone, I suppose. But
yep.
No, just about everyone. I think I've just about driven a horse for everyone, to be fair. Some way or another, I honestly can't think who I haven't driven for.
Yep. You've had some special associations and you've got some special friends. Let's touch on a couple of those. Lawrence Hanrahan, the run that you two had with the Tough Nut and New Age Man and Extraordinaire and all of these types of horses. Special times, Marika. Yeah, you had an incredible run there, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, but he never took a horse to the races that,
wasn't ready.
They always went pretty good. And he still does. Like, they don't go to the races, they haven't got a show sort of thing. But it's been a pretty long association. Of course, he worked for Brian for a wee while as well. So when we were going good, so I guess you learn things off everyone, don't you?
Brendan Hill.
Yeah, I've been with Benny for quite a while. All the time since he shifted down here, but of course I drove for Stephen and that when he was working for Stephen up in the North Island. So Robert was pretty good and he put me on most of their ones. But
again, the run you had, when you think of the horses, okay, you won 2 cups with Monkey King, fantastic. That'd be enough for most. But Carabella won 17 of 19, and
yeah, she was a phenomenal.
It just the run that you've had. Horses like Tennis Ball, and they weren't just winning; they were winning them in a row, Ricky.
They were, no, they were a better handicapping system probably.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know if a horse can win 4 straight today and carry on. It was a Monkey King or something, but they sort of went through the grades.
Bailey's Dream. There was just that many horses that you won with. How special to win a cup for a great mate like Benny? How good was that?
He just started off training, so it was a pretty big thrill for that, for everyone really, and sort of got Benny going. It's a big thing to win a cup, isn't it?
Yeah. He got a Miracle Mile as well.
That was, going all the way to Australia. It's the first meeting up in Angle.
Yep.
That was when the track opened, and the guy that put it in said that it was blowing that day, and said, the track will get 3 seconds quicker, and he went 51. So it says a lot for the horse, I think.
Yeah, he was a mighty animal, wasn't he?
He
Not
was
big in stature, but
no, he was. He had a little streak of his own, but he probably, could have won 4 cups really.
Yeah.
He got second in the other one, but geez, yeah, he was just a tough little rooster.
Reed Man will never forget that day. And then the mighty horse Terror to Love, who your great mate Jim Curtin won the first cup on, and then you got a couple with him and was so brave going for 4 cups when Adore Me won. Like, he was really good that day. But his third New Zealand Cup to join that elite group, that was a stunning performance because he gave them all a start.
Yeah, no, it was because he was usually pretty reliable, even if he wasn't quick away. He was always, go away. So he made a real hash of it that day. And he did it in the Easter Cup after that. He did it twice. But, you could always think you're going to go away. Slowly, maybe sometimes. But, he really made a muck up in that cup.
Ricky, 7 New Zealand Cup wins, the all-time leader in that race. Why? Is it? You're going to tell me it's just the horses, but it's an incredible. You went past Cecil Devine when you got to 6, and they're hard for one. There's plenty of good drivers out there that never win one. You've won 7 of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cecil Devine trained his own horses, which probably made him better, really. But I mean, Inky Lord was, sensational, and probably Terra to Love was sensational when he missed away. So there were 2 that sort of, really were massive efforts to win. But Inky, probably Terra and Monkey King were both really at the top of the game, weren't they?
Is Addington your favourite track? We talk so much about your successes in the game, and so many of them happen there. But is it therefore your favourite track?
Yeah, I always said it was probably the number 1 track. Probably everyone else thinks the same. But Nelson track is phenomenal. I really love driving on Nelson. I don't know why, but and I think a lot of other drivers will say the same thing. It was copied off Ashburton, but it's a better track than Ashburton. I just think it's better to drive when it gets a bit more fairer. Just something about it. I don't know what to put it to, but I think you'll find if you ask, a lot of other drivers, they'd say the same thing as me. But it's a pity it's so far away.
Ricky, the 2nd of January. We're not going to show the footage because we agreed right about the time that it happened that you never wanted to see that. It changed so many things in your life. Did you think you'd get back to race driving?
I didn't honestly know for a start. It was pretty hard, I think, for the first couple of months anyway. I was pretty well lay up for the first month. I had a lot of broken ribs and my whole body was looking a bit tattered.
I remember sitting in this very room and you're on the chair that you slept in.
Yeah,
you weren't in a good way, were you?
No, it was a bit of a battle, but then you start watching racing again and that and thinking, oh, Jesus, I did get a bit itchy feet after 4 months. I wasn't allowed to drive a car for 6 months, but I was driving the tractors and that after 6 weeks, but Judy wouldn't let me drive on the road with the car or anything, but so we thought that sort of would go with a licence. Stipe sort of wanted to carry on like that too. But my specialist, when he examined me after 5 months, he said, "Oh, you're good to go." He said, So then I applied for a driver's licence, and Nick Egan was pretty good about it, and so I got back a bit sooner probably. And the first day I came back to races, I had 7 drives, and it was pretty unlucky I never won one. I got a lot of places, but that was all right. It sort of felt good to be back, but it did take a wee while to get there. I think Lawrence and Benny took a team each to Ashburton.
To the trials? Yeah.
No, just to work them. Trials, just to work them. And I sort of got a bit of a buzz out of that day. I thought, that's the day I decided I want to be back. Another go,
Yeah. What are your recollections of that Omakau day? I mean, you were driving a special horse, AG's White Sox. You'd had terrific success, Group 1 success with him. He's one of your Easter Cup wins, of course.
Yeah.
What's your last memory and what's your next memory, I suppose?
Well, it's probably hard to believe, but the last thing I can remember, and I've thought, is having a cup of coffee with Nathan Williamson in the driver's room.
Yep.
And that was about race 3 I won, and that was after that. It was after race 3, and I can't remember another thing.
Yeah.
What happened?
You drove a winner.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
all down to luck.
And I can remember it.
Which is a ridiculous name for a horse on that day, but anyway.
Was. Well, I did come back and drive him again in one too.
Yeah.
But I can remember winning that race. It's
Yep.
good as gold.
And that,
Yeah, okay.
a cup of tea, and that's about it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Can't remember anything that happened after that.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but there was a few races to go too.
Yeah.
But Greg, I said to him, was it any different, And no, it's just exactly the same. So, yeah.
And he can be a funny horse, AG's
That's
White
right.
Sox. You're probably lucky that he was as behaved as what he was.
Yeah, he had got better. But
All those things that conspired, you stopped on a bend where Ali Barron was, and it just, bloody stars aligned there, Richard, for some reason. But we're pretty pleased that they did, and I'm sure you are too.
no, I was obviously very lucky, to be fair, when you listen to what happens to people who have the same thing as me. It's we are, by the sound of it, and I was lucky enough to be in the right place. But if it had been over the back straight, it might have been a bit different.
Rick, did it change your attitude? We'll get to the racing side of it in a minute, but to life? Do you see things differently as a result of that?
Yeah, well, I've never really dwelled. Like, I reckon you can't think of that. If you're going to be any good at what you do, you just carry on till you think something's not right, And I've been pretty good, really. I haven't really had a sick day since.
Yeah.
I've been pretty good health-wise, so specialist keeps saying it's good as, so you just got to be guided by them, don't you?
What about your attitude to racing and race driving?
Yeah, well, like I said, it was a bit hard to start off, but now I sort of feel like I'm back to where I was, so which is good.
Well, you've racked up the 3,000 wins. You've decided to take the licence out for another season, and you're not putting any definition around that. You're just going to see how it rolls.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, just see how it rolls. It's just a bit unfortunate probably that Benny and Lawrence, like two main stables now, haven't got many horses, and Ben's drives most of Greg's, and I've probably lost a lot of drives that way, so it's sort of been a wee bit harder that way, but just got to get used to it, I guess.
That gives you more time to do farming, Richard.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Gee, sometimes when I talk to you about it, you could see your eyes light up, almost the same as when you're about to drive a good horse, when you start talking about your crops. And so how big's the place? How many acres you got here?
It was 100 here, and I got 100 up the road, and
Right.
we had a bit more, but we sold it actually, made it a wee bit better. But I also do the Methven race course, which is another 100 acres, so I farm that for them. So yeah, there's sort of enough on when you 2 times a year you are pretty flat out.
What's your favourite crop? Do you have one?
The one you make the most money out of.
I thought you might say that. What about the future then, Rick? Family's a big part of who you are. You help the boys out a lot. They've got a huge contracting, May Brothers contracting.
Yeah.
You work for them for free pretty much.
That's about it, yeah. And get grilled at.
Yeah.
I used to help them more than I do now, but they've got so big, they're just short of men some days. Like last year, I didn't help them as much as I usually do, but when they ran out of men there in March, I went and drove a truck. But I mean, beautiful trucks to drive and everything. It's not real hard work, but you sort of at it all the time, and I'd go and help them occasionally for a few things, but. It'd be interesting to see what happens this year, but they certainly ain't got any smaller.
Judy does a bit of work for them as well. What about, I suppose at some point she'd like you to hang up the gold cap as well?
Oh, I think so,
Yeah.
Probably do, yeah. She's been pretty good, really, because they had to put up with a bit, really. She keeps saying she brought the kids up herself, so...
Well, you were away driving 3,000 winners, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I was away a lot, actually, when I was younger, so... I never missed all the kids' births, so I was there for them, so that was something.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on getting to the 3,000, mate. It's been a hell of an effort for so many different reasons, and it's always great to catch up with you and reminisce about some of your great horses you drove. So all the best in the future.
Thanks, Greg.